Hi, welcome to our first edition of Teachers Recommend Golden Rule Books. I'm here with several teachers from Hudson, and we are going to be recommending different books on kindness, empathy, and diversity. And today's segment is all about books about kindness. So we welcome Kelly Curtis and Lisa Plackner, Carolyn Wolf, and Catherine Schulte from different schools here in Hudson. All right, well, I'm going to start, and my book, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Sarah from Hudson Area Public Library. So my book about kindness is Snail Crossing, and it is written by Corey R. Tabor. I just love this book. The snail is so cute. The illustrations are wonderful, and it just talks about kindness from the snail's eyes. And it's a book where it starts out, he's on the road and he sees across the road is the most delicious head of lettuce. And he cannot wait to get to that head of lettuce. And with our kids, we all can see how we get so focused on something. But while he's focused on something, he comes across some ants when it starts to rain, and ants don't like the rain. So he was very kind to them and let them in his shell. And then later in the book, the kindness is repaid. After the ants leave, he gets turned around and he's so excited when he gets to the other end of the road and there's no lettuce. But then the lettuce starts coming to him and it's the ants bringing it back. And it's just the cutest story of kindness, and it's a wonderful story to share with our kids. So I hope they like it. I know mine do. All right, Mrs. Curtis, would you like to go next?
All right. Mrs. Curtis, I'm Kelly Curtis. I'm the school counselor at EP Rock Elementary, and the book that I want to share with everyone is called The Invisible Boy, and it's written by Trudy Ludwig, that's one of my favorite authors for school counseling books, because so much of it is about friendship and getting along with others and kindness. And the other thing I really like about her books is they're very real. I mean, these are situations that you would see in a school building in Hudson. And this particular story is about a boy named Brian, who is really quiet, and he doesn't make friends easily. He doesn't stand out. And so he sees himself as invisible. And so some of the illustrations are just really great too. You can see here where Brian is the one that is just kind of shaded in gray, where the other children are all colored. And this is how he sees himself, right? So he feels like he doesn't, people just don't see him. And so he's really good at art though, and so he's always drawing things. And a new boy comes to the classroom named Justin, and he's different. I think he's Asian, and he brings different kinds of food to eat, and that kids have never seen before. But he's really bold about it and feels confident about things. And he ends up sort of befriending Brian. So Justin befriends Brian and just kind of and he notices that Brian is a good artist. And so at one point in the story, they're doing something or whatever, and Justin was like, well, Brian could draw that, and all of a sudden now Brian sees that he is not invisible. So it's just such a beautiful story of kindness in nobody in this story is really being mean or anything. It isn't like that. It's just kids are just being kids and not necessarily noticing that a child might feel sort of invisible. And so I love the message in this story to just notice things in others and reach out so that nobody feels invisible. All right, and how about Lisa, you want to go next?
Absolutely. I have a story that I start my school year. I teach kindergarten, by the way, Lisa Plackner from Willow River Elementary. I read this story to my kindergarten class every year. It's called The Heart Print, and it's by P.K. Hallinan. It's an older publication. It was written in 1999, but I think the message is still very valid. It's just talking about ways that kids and everybody leaves a heart print. So you could give positive hugs, smiles, anything small, big, whatever it is leaving a heart print and making people feel better. So I just love how the author and illustrator put the hearts in dashed lines just to show that they're invisible, but it's positive feelings. So it's just telling kids that you can help others, you can, do things for others, but your words and actions matter. And one of the very powerful things I do afterwards that really sends this message home is I take a piece of paper and I just say, imagine that this is my heart. Imagine that this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling very happy. But then what if someone said, I don't like your glasses, or I don't like what you brought to school, or your sharing was dumb today. And you can crinkle that heart. And no matter how much you try to smooth it back out, there's still going to be wrinkles there. And so even though we teach kids that if you hurt someone, you say you're sorry, but sometimes sorry isn't enough. And we just want them to be aware that think before you speak, think before you act, that even though we can, still be friends and things, my heart is still a little bit wrinkled. So I just think it's a very good message about things that we can do to be kind to others always.
Okay, Mrs. Schulte, would you like to go next?
I sure would. Hi, I'm Mrs. Schulte, and I teach 4K at Willow River Elementary. One book that I really like reading is titled One, and the author is Catherine Otashi. And in this story, it's actually a lot of characters, but they're numbers. And so they're colors and numbers. They start off as colors, and the blue color is kind of a quiet color. And some other colors come in and do different things, and the blue color starts to feel a little bit sad in this story because another color that happens to be red is unhappy and starts to have sort of a louder emotion. And as you go through this story, lots of the colors notice that they're different, but they want to play together. And some of the colors, mostly the red color, is upset by that. And by the end of the story, you learn that it just takes one color or one number to help all of them learn that they can be happy with each other, happy with different ideas of feelings, but that they can work together and be friends too. So in the end of this story, the red color turns into a number and kind of gets into line with all the other colors, and they can have fun together. And that I really love the end of the story. It says every color counts, and it's kind of like every color or every different personality can count. And kind of like what Mrs. Plackner was saying is that when you do something kind for somebody, it feels good. And that's what you'll learn by the end of the story, is that even when somebody might not have been kind at the beginning, they can learn to be kind if you set that nice example for them. And that's what the number one or the color blue does by the end of the story. So I hope you'll read it. Again, the title is One, and the author is Catherine Otashi. And Mrs. Wolf?
Hi everybody, I'm Mrs. Wolf. I teach kindergarten at Rivercrest. And a book I just found this year is called Bear Comes Along. I'm gonna move back so you can see it. And of course it's about in nature, and it's about all these woodland animals. And what I really like is that it's just a really most important lesson is that we're all together. And you'll see at the end of the book how all the animals, and there's a surprise that also comes together with it. So, and it is written by Richard T. Morris and illustrated by Liuran Pham. So what it is that they start just going down the river, and they're not so sure how much fun it is until another animal comes along, and they're like, oh, let's just try this. And then they keep going, and he says, but he didn't know about the detours until ... the raccoon dropped in. And then there's twists and turns, and the raccoon helped them through it. But they didn't know they had to be careful until another animal comes, and another animal comes, and another animal comes, and they help them through this new thing called the river. And the river is also one of the characters in the story, which I love. It was like a great surprise ending for my students this spring. And it says at the very end, so many different animals living their separate lives, but they didn't know they were in it together until the river came along. And then they all had fun. Did you notice they're all having fun in the pool lake at the bottom? So it just gave me goosebumps again when I read the back part. So it's really cool. So I hope you check this book out and read it with your friends. Bear Comes Along.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. We hope you got some great recommendations about books about kindness, and look for other ones too and share them with us, and join in the city's initiative of the Golden Rule campaign. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.